Hello everybody, welcome back to another video here on my channel. Another reading video, but we are changing it up, having a change of scenery, enjoying the more fall feel today. It has felt so great because it has thunderstormed for the last 2 days, so it's like 60 something, maybe early 70s. It is so nice, so beautiful outside. It's a little bit of a breeze going on, the sun's been in and out, it's a cloudy day. It just feels and it smells like we are creeping towards fall more and more, and the leaves are starting to change. What better way than to bring myself outside to do my book haul and also to go to the edge of the woods. That's what today's video is about. I'm going over all the books that I got for my birthday and then like 4 books that I had already started for a book haul later in the future, and I'm just gonna go ahead and add them to this. I will cover those first and then we will hop into the ones that I got for my birthday. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. Like I said, let's start with the books that I got before my birthday. These first 2 books are by the same author. I'm just gonna hold them up together. There will also be a couple more for my birthday that I picked up. However, we have Colleen Cobble's Strands of Truth. I just picked this up at a Goodwill for $1.99. I have yet to read this one. And then the other book that we got is The Lightkeeper's Bride, and I just finished this, I think last month. Absolutely loved it. It was phenomenal. This series is probably one of my favorites so far from her. And my mom got this for me. I have no clue how much she paid. I think it was from her local library. They were having a sale, so $1, $2, you know, the typical prices. But both of these I am so happy to have on my shelves. Well, this one on my reg side and then this one on my unreg side. I will definitely get to this because this is a standalone, and then this, like I said, was part of a series, just a trilogy. I love her writing. I'm sure you guys don't need to know who exactly this is because I talk so much about her. These next 2 books are books, or at least one of them is a book that has been on my TBR for I don't know how many years, and we went to a Northern Kentucky bargain bin, and technically everything was $5, but I paid $3.50 because I think everything was 35% off if I remember correctly. The first book is Heir. I have no clue how to say her name. She wrote the series An Ember in the Ashes, and I have that first book. I don't have any more, and I haven't started that book. However, this I seen was a duology. Everybody said this was so great, and for $3.50 in like brand new condition, I thought this was such a beautiful book. I love the cover, and I am so excited to get into this. It seems like a really nice book, and I'm very intrigued. And I think it's YA fantasy, if I'm correct, which that's my favorite genre, to be honest. And then this is the one that's been on my TBR for a while. I've been always wanting to get into this ever since I first heard it. I think originally on Book Talk or maybe BookTube back in like 2019, 2020. It is 5 Broken Blades. I've heard really great things about this. I think this is a trilogy or it's a small series, like 4 books or so. Everybody who has read this, I have always seen really great reviews on this, so for $3.50 again, I had to pick it up. You know what else had to pick up? The Wind. I want to talk about half-price books. I'm gonna say disappointed and also upset. If you did not know, I had this massive book haul. It was 6 books and 1 VHS tape, and I was so excited to go to half-price books because I had decent books and I had some series, and I just thought I was gonna get a lot more money than I did. And I'm not trying to sound greedy. It was just the fact of I've gotten rid of 20 books before and gotten $14. I've gotten rid of 8 books before and got around $8 somehow. How in the world did I get rid of 36 books and they only gave me $14.79? They did give me a coupon for 10% off. However, I already was going to use my 15% off for my birthday. But like, you mean to tell me you're only gonna give me not even $15 for 36 books, and one of them had 6 CDs or 5 CDs in it? I'm a little bit upset. I'm getting tired of selling to half-price books if they're not going to return, because they're also not half-price. And that's the other thing. When we went there, I was getting very frustrated. First off, it was a Saturday because my husband was available and he wanted to go with, which I'm all for. However, it was cramped. It was crowded. I didn't record, which was fine. People were just kind of like annoyingly loud. I'm just going to say just a group of kids, very immature young adults. We went to Lexington. I love Lexington. I love the drive there. So much better than going all the way up to Florence. I think Florence is a terrible location, and I just enjoyed Lexington a lot more. However, the fact is they had new books, which I'll talk about some of the books on their shelves, and they said originally like $30, and they were selling for $23 to $27. All of those books, and they were 3rd prints. I ended up finding one of my books in specific that I'm talking about, I think for like $14. Let me see. For $14.99 before my discount, and it was a first print edition, and it was randomly wedged in a shelf. Tell me why you were charging for the exact same book but a worse printing literally $10 more. I don't understand. I know they were more popular books, but at the same time, it was kind of like, you guys are literally being greedy. Like, you're supposed to be half-price books. If a book is selling for $30, you better be $14.99, $15. That's half of 30, not, oh, $5 less. That's my little bone to pick with half-price books right now, because I love shopping there. I hate Barnes & Noble. I hate paying full price for books, and half-price books used to be very good. Like, you could go in there for $20 and get 5+ books. Now you walk in with $20 and you get 1 book. Not even sometimes. It depends on the book. You can get 2 maybe books, depending depending on if they're $8.99 or something. It is ridiculous, and this, just the fact that I feel like I was a little bit like duped, or I don't know, I just feel like I'm a little disappointed because they didn't give me as much, and yeah, I had that 15% off, but like I was just wanting more. I was just expecting more because I had so many books, and then to turn around and basically use up all of the money that I was going to spend in cash on 2 books made me really upset. And I put a lot of books back because I was like, I can go to Amazon right now and get them for $10 cheaper. I should not be able to do that, and I don't want to do that. I love physically buying my books. That's just how I felt. That's my little rant. So let's get into the actual books that I got for my birthday. I am so sorry. Let me know if you guys had the same experience though. First, we're gonna start with a book from an author that I absolutely loved. I've read technically 1 series and 1 standalone book from this author. I do have another series on my shelf, but I seen this was a duology and I've been thinking about buying it anyways. Originally, this was $9.49, but because of my discount, I paid $8.07. It is Gilded by Marissa Meyer. Again, I love her books. I just feel like her writing is pretty entertaining. The last book I read, which was Heartless, I felt like she did a great job, which I'm not a person that really knows about Alice in Wonderland, but I feel like from my memories of Alice in Wonderland, she did a really great job on the world and just how that whole story was made. So I'm excited about this series because the Renegades I absolutely love. I do have the Lunar Chronicles, but that's a series I haven't tackled just yet. I really love her books, so I think I'm going to absolutely enjoy this. And I was a little upset because it's not that bad, but this was the best looking dust jacket, and like I said, I paid $10 almost for this originally before the discount, and the other one was ripped all the way down, and I was just a little annoyed because why is this price so high if it's ripped? It used to be half price books too. The reason I had really bad Harry Potters that had like a dog chewed the corner out of it literally was because they were $2 back then when they were damaged, but they still accepted it. $2, not even in the clearance section. This was $10. This was actually not that bad, but I'm just saying they had a really beat up copy for the exact same price because I always choose either the better printing or the better condition depending on how bad the conditions are. This book physically hurt me to buy, but at the same time I really wanted it. I also technically have wanted the prequel before it, but I have never found that book in a hardcover, so I'm probably gonna have to order it online. This is Sunrise on the Reaping. This is the newest book, or the newest prequel I guess you could say, from the Hunger Games trilogy. This book, however, was $23.79 before the discount. $24. I don't know how much it is brand new. I bet I could have paid on Amazon a lot cheaper. I don't even want to look it up. I did pay $20.22 for this. Am I gonna love it? Most likely, because I love the Hunger Games, and I think, especially with this one being Hamige's, I think I would absolutely love this. However, I still want to get Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and maybe read that before, but I might hop into this one before I get to that one. I just think I'm gonna absolutely enjoy this, and this is probably gonna be 5 stars like the other ones. Now, this is the book that I was complaining about being originally $30, $29.99 on the back cover, and they had it priced at, I think they were like $25 technically. I found this book for $14.99 but paid $12.74. It's Onyx Storm. I am so excited about this. I'm not gonna lie, I figured I would pick it up. However, I debated this book. I went back and forth. I did put the one originally because at first this was the first book I picked up, but like I said, it was the 3rd printing for $20-something, and then I just ended up putting it back, and I stumbled across this one hidden in the shelves for $14, $15. You best have known that I snatched it up because this was, I think, $5 cheaper than what it would have been on Amazon, because I looked it up in store, and that's what made me put the other book back, because I was gonna pay more than if I had just bought it on Amazon. However, am I very excited to get into this and also nervous to get into this and then finish it and then be stuck on a cliffhanger because I know how this book ends on a cliffhanger like all the rest for the next year and a half or more? Absolutely. But I still really want to get into it because I loved Iron Flame. It was 6 stars. Now we're getting into my Colleen Cobble books. I have 3 books here actually. The Lonestar Secrets was $6.99 and I paid $5.94 for that book. The other 2 books were $7.99 and I paid $6.79 for them. First we have the Lightkeeper's Ball. This is the final book in the Mercy Falls series, the trilogy that I just showed with the Lightkeeper's Bride. I'm so excited to hop into this. I've been looking for this and I am so glad that they had 1 copy of this. Then we have Lonestar Secrets and Lonestar Angel, and these 2 books, I think it goes Secrets is 2nd, and then this is the 4th book in the, I think it's called the Lonestar series. Lonestar Sanctuary was the first book I ever read from this author back in 2020 or 2021 when I was pregnant with our son. I enjoyed it so much. I loved it. It was so amazing. It was like a mystery. It was Western for this series, and also just had like the God values, the Christian values, and ever since then I have always thought on and off about that book, and randomly, I think last year or this year, I stumbled across Tidewater Inn, which is a Hope Beach trilogy, I do believe, and I thrift store and the first book of the Mercy Falls series, and that's what really started me enjoying her books and like not necessarily obsessing, but in a way obsessing and going out and buying so many of her books. And this is the original series that I started with, and I never read on. I thought originally it was a standalone. So they had book 2. This is also a first print, and the spine looks a little bit different, which I'm not that upset with because for the most part they do match up. It's just double stacked instead of one line like all of her other books. However, they had 1 copy of this and 2 copies of this. They did not have the 3rd book, but that is okay. It is not that expensive on thrift books or even on Amazon. Next, for $9.49, but I paid $8.07, we actually have Emily Henry's Funny Story. I'm always a year behind, and I kind of enjoy some of her stories. However, I think the last one that just came out, A Great Big Beautiful Life, they only had hardcover and then like a massive paperback, and this was the only one that they had in my size, the only Emily Henry. And I almost put it back because I was like, I don't know if I want to keep spending so much money because each book was like $9-10. But then my husband was like, it's just $10 more. Just get it. Just throw it in the bag. Let's just go. It's your birthday. So I did pick this up. I'm not really a big romance person. I do enjoy kind of reading Emily Henry. She's not as good as everybody hypes her up to be, or at least I don't enjoy her stories as much. I loved People We Meet on Vacation. That's my favorite book so far from her. And then Happy Place, I think, is second place. Beach Read is like down with Book Lovers. Book Lovers was the worst. Beach Read is it was okay. So I'm hoping that Funny Story will be really good. We have 2 final books. One of them I have read, and then the other one I actually found in the clearance section. I usually always go to the clearance first. This book I'm also kind of upset about because I bought another book from Half Price Books, and these are a dime a dozen. They should not be $12.49 for a book, and I paid $10.62 for this book. It is The Sorcerer's Stone from Harry Potter. It's the last book I needed in hardcover, and now I finally have the whole collection. I read this, I don't know how many years ago now, but I read it a few years ago for the first time ever, and I always had the paperbacks, or like half paperback, half hardcover, and I finally found a hardcover. However, it was $12 for a hardcover, and it's not even close to being the first print because obvious reasons, and also it's like the 30th print. And then for $2 in the clearance section, actually $1.70 is what I paid for. They had the Atlas Paradox, and this book was a really good condition. Considering the ones sitting on the shelf were $10-12, they weren't even this good a condition. They were like ripped and not necessarily like nice, you know? My husband, I was gonna potentially put this back because this is a second book in the duology, and my husband was like, it's $2. Again, just throw it in. It's your birthday. As much as he says he hates my books, like when we were moving, he said and he complained so much about how much my books were so heavy and he hated them. At the same time, he helps me. Like, he influences me every once in a while, not like all the time. If I went out and bought books like every single week, he'd probably be like, you need to chill out. Read the books you have. I just thought, since he was right, you know, it was a good idea to get this book, and I've always wanted to read an Olive E. Blake, and he said to maybe go on Amazon and find the first book, and then that way I could read the first book and go into this book. And that is all the books in this little book haul. In total, it was 13 books. We had 9 books from Half Price Books and 4 books from previous Goodwills or just random other places. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, be a part of my YouTube community, and be sure to check out any other reading videos I have here on my channel. I hope to see you in another video, and as always, God bless. Aw, man, I'm getting mud. First, like I said, I'll go over the books. Oh, a lot of wind this time. These first 2 books are by, oh my gosh. Ah! A little bit of a breeze, yeah? A little bit of a breeze. I just feel like her writing is pretty entertainable. I just feel like her writing is pretty entertaining. Can I help you? Get away from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. She's a peep.